Movies, film, cinema. I love movies. The first injury I remember ever getting was skinning my knee in the parking lot of a disc replay. I live and breathe the visual arts. But recently I've been doing hypercam stuff and working on personal projects and then just gaming like a gamer. And there's just haven't been a lot of time to watch movies. And when I do watch movies, it's usually like with a group, and I don't want to be the one putting trash on the aux, so it's stuff that I kind of know ahead of time I or people around me will like. And as cool as that is, it doesn't feel like the real cinephile experience, I want to get dirty, I want to get grimy, I want to watch some movies that I don't know if they're going to be good or not. I want to watch movies I think are weird, and I want to watch movies I think are bad. I gotta experience. So recently, when I got the call that my grandmother exploded, rip Gram, I decided to, over the 12-hour journey back to my hometown and the following 2-week stay in my hometown, I was gonna watch some friggin' movies, man. I'm gonna, you know what? So I picked 12 movies to watch over these 2 weeks, and I watched 4 of them instead of that. And that's what this video is. So it's gonna be I'm gonna talk about them. I'm gonna talk about the movies I watched. Monkey Man. Monkey Man is a 2024 action movie starring Dev Patel, who I've kind of subtly been keeping an eye on since this film, The Green Knight, in 2021, because that was kind of on my radar, but I didn't really get a chance to watch it, unfortunately, but I heard amazing things about it. So when this movie dropped, and I immediately heard it described as Indian John Wick, I got really excited. And then when I heard later that the main character gets trained by a sect of transgender warrior monks, that got me really excited. The film follows a young man, a monkey man, if you will, seeking revenge on the man who murdered his mother and paved his paradise to put up a parking lot. It does feel like a little reductive to just label this movie Indian John Wick, because it almost has more of the energy of like a superhero origin story, like in the vein of like a Spider-Man kind of thing. The audience follows Monkey through a journey of first being kind of fearful and uncertain and kind of screwing it up a lot and getting dunked on repeatedly, and then as you watch the film, he kind of grows into being vicious and self-confident and good at murder, rather than just being Jesus with a firearm start to finish like our boy Jonathan. That being said, the movie does wear its influences on its sleeve whenever an action sequence does pop up. It has super frenetic choreography and camera work, and some pretty creative environment and weapon usage as well. The action was for sure the highlight of the movie for me, and I did feel like the movie dragged a little bit getting to those scenes, but once they got there, they always felt worth it. The only thing that really didn't land for me is the training montage. Monkey starts out getting pretty reamed at every turn, and almost dies because of that, at which point he is saved by those transgender warrior monks that I mentioned earlier. And during his stay with the ladies, he has this training montage that's kind of just him assaulting a punching bag while homie goes nutty style on the drum set in the background, which maybe I'm missing some symbolism that went over my head, but to me it did not justify how immediately better at kicking ass he becomes in the second half of the movie. It just kind of reads like Monkey looking at all these women and being like, damn, all these bitches locked in, I should lock in. And then he locks in. Overall, fun movie, 6.7 out of 10. The Night of the Hunter. Night of the Hunter? The Night of the Hunter is a 1955 thriller starring Billy Chapman and Robert Mitchum, and it's just like Resident Evil 2, except Leon is a child, and Mr. X is Catholic, and you're not in a zombie-infested police station, but the 1950s Virginian countryside, so maybe it's not that much like Resident Evil 2 at all, actually. So the movie opens with a man running from the law with $10,000 burning a hole in his pocket. He hides the money somewhere that only his two children, John and Pearl, know about, and makes them promise to never tell where it is. He is then promptly arrested and executed, but not before accidentally mentioning the money's existence to his cellmate, a preacher by the name of Harry Powell. Powell breaks out of prison somehow and goes looking for the money, and bada bing, we got a friggin' narrative, baby. Most of this film is comprised of John telling people like, "Hey, this guy just stole in the town, went straight for my widowed mother, and immediately married her, and keeps being weird and threatening and asking, 'Where's the money, Lebowski?' And his vibes are generally abysmal. Get a responsible adult, please get involved in the situation, please." And every adult just kind of gaslighting him and basically going like, "Shut up! Shut up! I hate you! I hate you! I hate you! You should explode!" Which I found just a little bit, like, frustrating to a point. But it is required to make the story work, and from what I hear, it just is kind of the way it was back then, so I can't really complain too much. The actors all do, like, a great job, with the exception of maybe the little sister, but she looked like she was literally 4, so I'm not gonna, like, dunk on her for her performance. Robert Mitchum as Harry Powell does a great job of, like, clearly being unhinged in menacing, but pulling that back to, like, manipulate grown-ups and whatnot. Also, special shout out to the Spoons. They got Hannah and I to actually genuinely laugh out loud at a couple points. The highlight of this film, though, this movie has some of the most masterful lighting and composition work I think I've ever seen. Constantly made me go, I know how this was done now. I have no clue how they did this in the 1950s. Just mesmerizing stuff to look at. Overall, great film. Definitely worth a watch if you have an eye for old movies like it all. 7.8 out of 10. Cast a deadly spell. Cast a deadly spell. Cast a Deadly Spell is a 1991 horror noir starring Fred Ward as Harry Philip Lovecraft, a classic noir detective with a bad outlook on life and a worse tie. Down on his luck, Detective Lovecraft lives in a parallel 1940s where everyone is a wizard and magic is commonplace, but old Harry doesn't much trust that sort of thing. I will say this movie was, like, almost my favorite of the entire bunch. It had me from minute one. I mean, like, suave but rough around the edges, old-timey Dick Tracy type detective, smoky dames in a city that never sleeps, mixed with esoteric entities, creative spellcraft, and seedy mystery surrounding an ancient tome. Like, it was made for me, truly. Also, the movie is, like, pretty genuinely funny in a few places, but, like, never while compromising the overall tone of the story. It has, like, kind of a lot going on genre-wise. Like, one moment it'll be, like, some pretty genuinely upsetting to look at, like, horror magic stuff going on, and then it'll be, like, some goofy, silly type fantasy, like, goblins and gremlins, and then it'll be, like, real, like, classic, like, smoky noir stuff. But it does a pretty good job of, like, interlacing all of those aspects together without making any of them feel too jarring. So, if I am lauding this movie so much, why is it almost my favorite? Well, I'm not gonna beat around the bush, gamers. There's one trans character in this movie who I was honestly so captivated by and so excited to, like, see, and was hoping she would succeed and do well and all that. And then halfway through the movie, she gets the absolute piss beaten out of her wig stolen, and then immediately is impaled by a gargoyle. Now, I'm not gonna be the friend that's too woke. I know the 90s were a different time, but I cannot act like this did not heavily sully the experience for me. And if that is not enough, the movie ends with the villain being thwarted because a corrupt, pedophilic, I guess, cop banged his underage virgin sacrifice, which, like, I don't know why you would do why do that? Like, why, if you're writing a script, why do that? Overall, it's like, I guess I still recommend the movie because it's got some neat stuff going on, but, like, just know, like, it's a 90s film and, like, a direct-to-TV one at that, so, like, just know what you're getting into. For me, 5.5 out of 10. How many angry men? 12 angry men. 12 angry men. saw angry men. About a dozen of angry men. 12 Angry Men is a 1957 court thriller starring Henry Fonda and, like, 11 other dudes. The story follows a jury attempting to reach a decision on a case regarding a young boy from the slums who allegedly murdered his father. This is one of those movies where you see it and you kind of go like, you know, maybe those pretentious cinephiles are onto something, because movies just kind of are all worse than this now. From the first moments of this thing, the cinematography and lighting and composition are just strung together to make literally just like hallways of a court and a single room full of like shitty old white guys look just beautiful. Everything is like just textured and rich and vibrant in a black and white film, and it's just amazing. The titular 12 men of poor mood bounce their opinions off of each other the entire runtime, and the writing manages to keep basically just like an argument, just like a prolonged argument, extremely engaging. I almost don't even know what to say about this movie. That wouldn't just be me just gushing on repeat about how good it is. If you take nothing else away from this video, take this, alright? If you have even a mild artistic interest in film, or have ever watched debate YouTube, please go watch this one. It will not disappoint. So those are my most recent watches. If you like seeing my film opinions, I have a Letterboxd with a pretty large back catalog of reviews, and I'm, pretty active on there. And if you think I'm a film charlatan who should never speak on film again, leave a comment or something. I don't know, I'm not your mom. Anyway, that's it. That's my video. Bless up, gang.